Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. This is Vrinda from Baltimore. I welcome you all for today's session. Today, Maharaj is going to enlighten us on the topic of Glories of Madhvacharya. So, Maharaj, I request you to please take over the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda, thank you very much. Glories to Prabhupada. Okay. Om Gyanti Vedandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutalaya Shrimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvasesa Sunyavari Pastyatya De Satarine Vanchakalpa Turupascha Kripasindhuve Vijapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare. So the life and glories of Madhvacharya are really quite amazing and quite extensive. But we'll try to say something, and then I'll give some references where devotees can follow up and get more information on Madhvacharya. There is a book which is circulating around ISKCON and published by a devotee in ISKCON called The Life of Madhvacharya. It's quite nice. It's a regular book. It has about 150 pages or more. So I would recommend that. It's called The Life of Madhvacharya. If you can find it. I'm not sure of the author. Maybe some of you who are listening could find the book and then post the information on the chat. I'll give a brief summary of some of the highlights of his life. First of all, I must say that he is the son of the wind god Vayu, and therefore he was always noted for his strength. He was born in Urabi, Karnataka, in the year 1118, and he was given the name by his parents, Vasudev. Some of the earliest activities of Madhvacharya are mentioned. At the age of 5 years old, he received the sacred thread. There is one interesting little story where his father incurred a particular debt and could not pay it. His father was feeling very despondent and quite anxious because the debt was due and there would have been some reaction if he didn't pay the debt. So seeing his father in distress, he asked his father, this was when he was a young boy, he was no more than 6 or 7 years old, I think, maybe even younger. He said to his father, my dear father, I see you're in distress. What is the problem? What is wrong? Well, I have this debt of so many gold coins and I can't pay. I do not have the money, nor do I have the means to receive it. He said to his father, no problem. So he went to a place within his little house area, we might call it the backyard, and there was a tamarind tree. And so he collected many of the tamarind seeds and he handed the seeds to his father. As his father was receiving the seeds turned into gold coins. So that's an interesting story, how he transformed tamarind seeds into gold coins, just enough for his father to pay off his debt. At the age of 12 years old, he received, no, actually at the age of 11 years old, he received sannyas. But before we get into that, he was noted for his strength as a child. He could swim in the ocean. He could jump. In fact, when his mother was looking for him and he was a distance away, she would call him and he would hear it no matter where he was. And he would appear to her in one jump. Sometimes it said he would jump up to 1 kilometer and jump right in front of his mother. So he wasn't an ordinary child. He was actually the son of the wind god Vayu. Very strong, even at a young boy. His parent, he was the only son of his parents. At one point, he's decided to take instructions from one guru called Achyuta Preksha. Achyuta Preksha was somewhat of a little bit of a Mayavad. And he, his guru was always teaching him a little bit different than what Vaishnav culture, Vaishnav philosophy was. One time in his discussion with Achyuta Preksha, in comparing the beautiful face of Krishna, compared the face of Krishna to a backside of a monkey, a red monkey. If you see these red monkeys in Vrindavan, they have this big backside that is completely red. Using that as a comparison, he compared Krishna's face to it, or Vishnu's face, actually. When Vasudev, whose name was Vasudev before he became Madhvacharya, he became very despondent and very unhappy when he heard Vishnu's face being compared to the backside of a monkey. He became he started to cry, actually, and started to lament the situation. His guru became a little disturbed seeing his disciple not accepting his analogy, and so he had chastised him. And at that time, he gave up his guru, Achyuta Preksha, who was somewhat of a Mayavadi or personalist. We're not sure exactly what his particular form of impersonalism is. When he was a young boy at 11 years old, he had no desire to, make anything of this world his home. So he decided to take sannyas. When his parents learned that he was going to leave home and take sannyas, they became really mortified. He was their only son. And so he left without any remorse about his families. His mother and father both followed him. And then at one point, they pleaded with him, "You, our own son, please come back and stay with us. We will be heartbroken without you." And so they pleaded in so many ways. He said, "All right, I will return, only until you have another child. When you have another child, then I will leave." So he agreed to come back. He stayed for some time. Another time, soon after that, another young boy was born. So once upon the birth of the child, Madhvacharya, who was still named Vasudeva at the time, decided, now the agreement is there. Now I am leaving. But as he was leaving, they couldn't again feel any happiness in being separated from him. So they followed him. And in so many ways, they tried to encourage him to come back. but he was determined. At one point, his father became really emotional and paid his obeisances to his son, who was only a little boy at the time. He was only 11 years old. And he offered his obeisances, pleading with him to come back. Madhvacharya saw that his father offered his obeisances to him. And he said, "My dear father, this is proof that I am a sannyasi, because the parent does not offer his son obeisances unless the son is actually a sannyasi." So thank you very much. You have confirmed my desire. And he continued to head on. His parents gave up at that time. He received the sannyas, and his name was Purna Pragya Tirtha. That was his sannyas name. As he grew in age, he became a great proponent and studied the Vedas very, very carefully under various teachers. And at that time, of course, Mayavad philosophy at that time was very strong in India. In fact, they were predominant, especially in the area of Urabi. So many times, Madhvacharya would, now being trained in Vaishnava culture and worshiping the Lord as Lord Narayan, he was preaching. And many times he would come in contact with others who were Mayavadis, and they would challenge him to a debate. One very formidable Mayavadi named Vidya Shankara, he was the head of the Shingari math. He defeated him very easily. And of course, it's understood that when one is defeated, one becomes the follower of the person that defeats them. He traveled extensively. He heard Bhagavad Gita from Vyasadeva. He actually went to Badrik Ashram with Satyatirtha, one of his prominent disciples. And he heard Bhagavad Gita directly from the mouth of Vyasadeva. There is a place called Badrik Ashram, but there's another place higher in the Himalayas called Adibadri. That is the place of Srila Vyasadeva. Even today, as we are sitting here discussing, Vyasadeva lives in Adibadri, very high in the Himalayas. Hardly anyone can reach that place. It's not possible. After hearing from Vyasadeva about Bhagavad Gita, he wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. After defeating others, they became the scholars. Sobhabhata and Swami Shastra became his disciple. Also Padmanabh Tirtha and Narahari Tirtha. One time he bathed in the ocean, and the waves in the ocean were so rough that when he went into the ocean to bathe, by his power, he calmed the ocean completely where there was no waves. This describes when he was traveling, he saw one king who was digging a lake in Maharashtra. And so he helped the king dig the lake. And after he helped the king dig the lake, the king wanted to offer him a benediction. He said, "I don't have any desire for anything." And so he continued on. As he was traveling, he was warned that there was much Hindu-Muslim fighting going on in the area, but he was fearless. And while he was traveling, he came in contact with the Muslim king. The Muslim king was very much impressed by him and offered him a kingdom and money, power, prestige, royalty, followers. But he wasn't interested. He was only interested in preaching Krishna consciousness. One time he was attacked by a gang of dacoits, and by his strength, he killed all of them. He had one of his followers was named Satyatirtha, and they were traveling together, and a tiger jumped on Satyatirtha and was trying to rip him apart. Madhvacharya grabbed the tiger and separated the tiger from his disciple and saved his life. While he was in Bhagavadrik ashram, he received a Shalagram Shila from Vyasadeva, like that, and he named it Asnamurti. He summarized the Mahabharata. He became very popular, and the Sankaracharyas, the followers of Sankaracharyas, were finding different ways to discredit him and to prove he was not bona fide. So they tried to prove that his disciplic section was unbona fide. He was challenged by one great scholar called Pundarik Puri. And in those days, when you would engage in a debate, you would have your books with you and you refer to the books. You have to quote slokas in giving your arguments. You cannot just give arguments without backing your arguments with shastric statements. In fact, these shastric statements become the essential principles of the argument, the essential ingredients. But in this challenge by Pundarik Puri, what they did was, in order to defeat Madhvacharya, they stole all his books. And when he went to find his books were gone. And the debate was about to happen. But Madhvacharya went to debate anyway, and without having his books, he defeated him anyway. And later on, his books were found by one king called Jayasimha. One very famous personality who was a powerful Mayavadi also became his disciple. His name was Srimi Kramanacharya. He was the son of Narayanacharya. And he actually became a great scholar under Madhva. And he composed a particular book called Madhva Vijaya. Now, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's an extensive purport describing the life of Madhvacharya, which I'll refer to at the end of this discussion. And in that purport, Srila Prabhupada recommends that we read this book, Madhva Vijaya, by Trivikrama Acharya. He had tremendous bodily strength. He was the son of the wind god. When he was traveling, one particular strong man, his name was Kandajari, he had the strength of 30 men. And so he challenged Madhvacharya to a test of strength. So Madhvacharya accepted the challenge. And what he did is he placed his foot on the ground. Madhvacharya placed his foot on the ground. He raised his foot up and kept his big toe on the ground with his foot raised up. And he said to Kandacharya, "Pick up my toe from the ground." And Kandacharya wasn't able, he was with all his strength, and he had the strength of 30 men as described, he couldn't move Madhvacharya's toe from the ground. So we cannot imagine how strong he was. There's a famous story which heralds the glory of Madhvacharya's existence. And that is, one day he was walking on the beach, just, I think it is, just south of Urabi. And there was a boat just on the ocean, and the boat was being tossed around by the waves. Now, Madhvacharya saw that, and he could see the boat was in trouble. And the captain was looking for some way to get to the shore, but he could not maneuver the boat. So Madhvacharya took off his charter and waved his charter to signal how the boat should maneuver itself in order to make its trip onto the shore. So he did, expertly showing through signs of his waving of the charter, and the captain picked up on it and the boat made it to shore. Now the boat captain was very happy. He had saved the boat and he had saved the lives of others, and there were much goods being carried on that particular boat. So the boatman, the captain of the ship, wanted to reward him in some way. And he said, well, there's nothing I really want. But he said, no, please take something. And the Madhvacharya said, do you have some gopi chandan? And the boatman said, yes, I have just come from Dwarka, and I have 2 very huge blocks of gopi chandan, which I brought upon my boat to help stabilize the boat on the ocean. He said, I want those 2 blocks. The boatman said, the boat captain said, yes, this is our gift to you. So these blocks were so big and so heavy that no one could move them. But Madhvacharya came, and with one hand, he picked up 1 block, and with the other hand, he picked up the other block. And he started to walk away, walking down the beach. As he was walking, holding these 2 very large-sized blocks of gopi chandan, one of them fell from his hand and broke open when it hit the ground. And inside it was a beautiful deity of Balaram. He stopped to where that deity had fallen. He took that deity and he installed a temple right there, right where that deity had fell. And even today, many years ago, I can't remember the year it was, we visited that temple, and there's a beautiful deity of Lord Balaram there. Unfortunately, the temple is a little bit remote and it doesn't get much visitors. It's right on the beach, away from everything. So very few people do come, but it's a beautiful deity of Lord Balaram established by Madhvacharya. Later on, as he was carrying the other deity, that one eventually broke open and there was a beautiful deity of Krishna inside. Both of these deities, Krishna and Balaram, were actually made by Rohini, the mother of Krishna. When Rohini was in Dwarka visiting with the queens of Dwarka at the time, the queens had asked Rohini, please tell us or show us in some way what Krishna and Balaram looked like when they were just young boys. So she made these 2 deities from her own hands. And later on, when Dwarka went underneath the sea, everything was lost. And these 2 deities went underneath the sea. But in that area of Dwarka, where Dwarka was, it was very famous for Gopi Chandan. So this Gopi Chandan, which is a type of soft clay, formulated around these 2 deities to become these 2 big blocks of Gopi Chandan. And Gopi Chandan is what we call tilak, is what we use to decorate our bodies as Vaishnavas. And this is real tilak. A lot of the stuff we get is manufactured. It's not of the same quality. And so later on, when he got into the area of Urabi, he established a temple there, and that temple is one of the most famous temples in India, Urabi Krishna Temple. I have many pictures of Urabi Krishna. I can show you one where If I just go to my altar, I'll get it. I'll show it to you at the end of this talk. The beautiful deity of Urabi Krishna. Every day, that deity receives about 5 hours of puja in the form of bathing, dressing, decorating, and giving darshan to his devotees. You go to that temple and there is always long, long lines of people waiting to take darshan of Urabi Krishna. Fortunately, we have one particular Vaishnava. He's a disciple of Radhanath Swami. His name is, can't remember, Chandra something. We got his name. But he lives in Udupi and he frequents the temple regularly. He's friends with all of the priests there. So he would get us, when we would come, he would take us right to the head of the line and we would get a long darshan. There's a little window there and you go and you look through the window and you can see the puja as it's going on. It's only a small window. So only one person can look through at a time. So we would go, and because of his name is Dial Chandra, yeah, Dial Chandra. Because of him, we would get nice darshans of Urabi Krishna. And I remember I spent a whole month in Udupi from the end of the year 2007 to the beginning of 2008. And during that time, I would regularly visit Urabi Krishna. And the deity is part of a larger compound, and there are many other smaller temples that are part of the same temple, and there are also temples outside within the compound. And there's another famous temple, Ananta Vijaya Temple. And this temple was the temple where, when Madhvacharya was giving a discourse on a commentary that he wrote on the Aitreya Upanishads, he was speaking on the Aitreya Upanishads, giving a commentary that he had wrote. While he was speaking, he disappeared. He left the world. All of a sudden, he was no longer there. So, yeah, and this is how he left the world. So he was an amazing personality, very powerful spiritually, very powerful materially. It's described that Lord Chaitanya actually met Madhvacharya, and Lord Chaitanya appeared to him and said, I will appear in your sampradaya. So we are also connected to Madhvacharya. We are from the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. I would recommend devotees, and if they visit India, visit Udupi and go to Urabi Krishna Temple. The deity is so merciful, so sweet, and they also offer beautiful, beautiful Mahaprasadam, big, gigantic labdus that are offered to the deity, and they're distributed. Of course, they're on sale there, but when we were there, we were fortunate. And when we were there, I was there with a group of devotees. We stayed inside the temple, and we did kirtan for 2 hours inside the temple. And all the pilgrims, as they were coming to see Urabi Krishna, very much appreciated the kirtan. So it's a wonderful place. I remember very fond memories of coming there and seeing all of the other deities connected with Urabi Krishna. There are many, many other deities. There's deities of Nrsingadev, there's deities of Lord Shiva, and other deities that are quite famous also. So this is a little bit about the life of Madhvacharya. Now, Vrunda, if you can go to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 9, verse 2, 4, 5. Okay, and I'll read a little bit from here. Madhvacharya stane aila yaha tatpavadi urapite Krishna deki tahaha pramodadi. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next arrived at Urapi, the place of Madhvacharya, where the philosophers known as the Tattvavadis reside. There he saw the deity of Lord Krishna and became mad in ecstasy. So in this particular purport, I mean, it is a long purport. Some of the things I mentioned in my summary are mentioned in the purport, but the purport has many other points here. There was a demon named Manima that lived nearby in the form of a snake. When at the age of 5 years old, Madhvacharya killed that snake with the toe of his left foot. Let's see what else. Some things that I did not describe. Yeah, I go down the page. There's much. We hit a few of these. The king of the digging the lake here. Okay, the fights between the Muslims, that's also mentioned there. This is if you want to know the life of Madhvacharya, just read this purport. Let's see, what else? The bodily strength of Kandajari, yeah, we mentioned that. Keep going down, it's a very long purport. Okay, there's a listing of the different Madhvacharya Sampradayas at Urapi. You see, number 13 is Sri Madhvacharya from the Saka year 1047. So he became part of this disciplic succession and known as the Sringeri, no, the Uttaradi Mat, like that. And this was the Sampradaya that he entered. And then these are some of the personalities here. Veda Vyasa is also mentioned in that list. There he is number 24. Okay, go down the list. There's more to the purport. Okay. Every second year in the month of January, there are 14 there are actually a series of temples in that area who have a particular temple leader. They're called Mat leader. And every 2 years, they change the leader in the series of leaders in the Sampradaya. And then they have a vote, kind of like a vote, but the person who is outstanding in their devotion. These are all Mat leaders. One of them, one time, left India and he came to America to preach. Now, this is forbidden. It says in the Sampradaya of Madhvacharya, anyone who crosses the ocean is no longer, he's considered to be fallen and he's not qualified. But this person went to preach Krishna consciousness. He came to New Vrindavan, and I happened to be there at the time, and I met him. He was a very interesting person, and all he did was speak about Bal Krishna. He was speaking only the pastimes of Krishna as a little boy. Later, when he got back, he was meant to be the next leader of the Sampradaya, but they challenged him because he had left the They had, because he had left India, this is considered to be against anyone who goes. But later on, we became friends with many of the leaders of the Madhva Sampradaya, Tejo Swami, Pejo Swami, very powerful acharyas in the present day. I think both of them had just one recently left his body within the last few years. He was very much connected to the government of India, and the government of India used him to settle the Hindu-Muslim dispute in the area of Ayodhya when the birthplace of Sri Ram was in contention. What happened was the Islamic groups took over the birthplace of Sri Ram and erected a mosque on the same place of Sri Ram's birthplace. This became intolerable to the local Hindus, and so there were many Hindu-Muslim riots. That was back in the 1990s, I believe, 1992, if I can remember correctly. And in order to settle some of this, the Pejo Swami was asked to go and try to settle the differences, because he was respected by everyone. And it's explained that he actually helped to quell the tension that was there. Just recently, I think the devotees, within the last 5 years, we have regained that place as the birthplace of Lord Ramachandra. When I was there in the year 1999, it was like an armed fortress. We could not actually go to the actual birth site. We could take darshan of the birth site from a distance because there were guards and everything was like very military there because of the tension in that area. And so we were not allowed to go inside, up to the actual birth site, but we could see it from a distance of about 50 meters away. Okay, so the Madhvas are very famous for defeating Mayavad philosophy. One of their principles, Lord Chaitanya, he took 2 principles from each of the 4 sampradayas, from Vishnu Swami Sampradaya, from Ramanuja Sampradaya, from Madhvacharya Sampradaya, from the Kumara Sampradaya. He took 2 principles from each and made it his teachings. And from Madhva Sampradaya, he took complete refutation of Mayavadi philosophy and the worship of the deity in the temple. These are the 2 things that Lord Chaitanya took. He gave his darshan to Madhvacharya and assured that he would, appear within his sampradaya. You can go down the page farther. I think there's more. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's the whole purport. So anybody who wants to, re-enter the wonderful pastimes of Madhvacharya, here, it's Prabhupada writes here, it says, Madhvacharya passes by the age of 80 while writing a commentary. For further mention, one should read Madhva Vijaya by Acharya. And that's recommended by Srila Prabhupada in one of his lectures. He recommends we should read this particular book because the Madhva Sampradayas are very much connected to us. Although they worship Lakshmi Narayan as their supreme deity, they also acknowledge Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. Okay. Any of you online who are from that area or have some connection from Madhva Sampradaya? Any of the devotees? We can go to the main screen now. Anybody who have any family members or friends from that area? or connected to that area? Tirtha Kirti.
Well, actually, it's me, Guru Maharaj, Sri Devi Dasi. I'm here with Tirtha Kirti Mataji because here she is.
Okay.
So, yes,
So
Guru Maharaj.
You have some connection with Madhva, right?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. I definitely do, by Krishna's mercy. At least 3-4 centuries of my forefathers are all worshippers in the Madhvacharya line.
Nice. Anything you want to say?
I would like to say that Udupi Sri Krishna is very, very interesting murti because he's a murti who is holding the churning rod in his one hand, and he's holding a lump of butter in the other. So the churning rod is actually Mother Yashoda's churning rod of butter, which was yeah. So it's very unusual in the sense that mostly we see Krishna with the flute. And rarely, or not rarely, I think this is the only murti which is, this is the murti. Jai, Udupi Shri Krishna ki jai. So beautiful. And the alankar of this murti is very special. Every day, a very beautiful new outfit is put on the Lord. Sometimes he is even dressed as Andal, his great devotee. Sometimes he is dressed as Mahalakshmi. Then Varaha Dwadashi, he is dressed as Lord Varaha. So it's just amazing the love and devotion with which the pujaris worship and decorate and offer bhog, and just it's just amazing. That's all I want to say, Guru Maharaj. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, this is the beautiful picture I obtained when I was there in Udupi. And there's the churning rod he's holding.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. August to Prabhupada, August to your lotus feet. I have the same photo. I also got it from Udupi. Udupi Krishnas. I have a very long connection with the temple since 2002. When I used to study in Mangalore, used to go to Udupi. And I have been to 2018, I went there because I have a lot of ISKCON Mangalore was my first temple, so still a lot of devotees are still very local, and whenever we go, they take us to Udupi. As a student, I used to go 2 Sundays a month from Mangalore to Udupi. You can take a bus, and the temple never closes. There is no sleeping time for the DD, so it's always open in the middle of the night or day or wherever. So there was no restriction for the darshan timings. I just have one personal connection with the DD, which I think I have only told one other person. So this Udupi Krishna never accepts flowers from outsiders. The DD never accepts the flower which is offered is made by the devotees sitting in the temple. I didn't know that. Many years ago, I bought the flower from the flower stall outside, a garland, jasmine garland, I remember. And I was like, I want Krishna to wear this today. So I just kept it on the palm leaf. And it was in my heart that I want Krishna to wear this today. And then, you have been there, right? So when you circumambulate, there is no electric light. It's all like the natural lamps that they have burned, and it's kind of dark, and you have to peep inside from the small holes or windows that they have made. So they had done Tulsi Abhishek to the DD, and the DD was moved from back to front a little, and I saw Krishna was wearing the garland I had offered.
Wow.
So it was very special. So somehow he accepted. And I've seen all the places of Madhvacharya. When you said that he would jump when his mother would call when you were saying that. I have seen the place from one hill. There were two hills, right? One hill to another hill. And then his foot mark, like they say that this is the foot mark of Madhvacharya when he would jump, just one jump, and then he's in front of his mother. So I've seen those hills in Udupi. It's very nice.
That's right near Udupi, right?
Yes, Guruvara, right near the area.
Yeah, you were born and raised in Mangalore, right?
I studied in Mangalore, yes. I lived there for a long time. So,
yeah, I long to go back to Urabi Krishna. That was such a wonderful experience.
yes, every time we go to India, I go there, even for a day, but I go. It's very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe next time we can go together.
Yes, Gururaj. Yeah, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sridevi Mataji, do you want to share something?
Yeah, I just want to share that there is a song in Kannada which glorifies Madhvacharya. And I remember my mother saying that Madhvacharya came in Ram Leela as Hanuman, then he came as Bhima in Krishna Leela, and then he came as Madhvacharya.
Yeah, there's a particular picture that has a sign. I remember seeing it. It was a picture of. I think it was a picture of. Yeah, it was a picture of Madhvacharya, and he's got his fingers like three. Like there are three manifestations of the wind god. He's the third one. There's a story in the Mahabharata where Bhima's traveling through the forest, and he's traveling and he's traveling, and he comes up to a certain part, and he sees that there's this monkey right in the middle of the trail where he's walking, and the monkey has his tail across the trail. So of course we understand it's improper. It's also an offense to walk over the body of another living entity. If you step over someone's body, that's an offense because the soul is in the body. So one should avoid that. We sometimes see even in our temples, devotees are going through the crowd and they step over each other. That is offense. They don't even know that, but it is. You can probably observe that in Mayapur where things are so crowded. But so Bhima said to the monkey, "My dear monkey, please move your tail. I want to pass." And the monkey turned and said, "I'm so old, I can't even move." And then Bhima became upset and said, "Well, you must move because I have to pass. I can't walk over you. That is an offense." So, "I can't move, but if you want, you can move my tail." So Bhima came, and Bhima, we know Bhima has the strength of 10,000 men. So he tried to move the tail of the monkey and he couldn't move it. He's straining and struggling and trying to pull it in so many ways, and it won't move. Bhima's becoming a little bit astonished. He can't move this monkey's tail. And at the same time, he's starting to think, who is this monkey? And then he turns and he says, "Who are you?" He said, "My name is Hanuman." And then the two brothers meet each other, and this is a very sweet and very deep, loving exchange between the two. It's described in the Mahabharata as they met into the forest under this particular circumstance.
So, Gururaj, this is the picture you're saying. I got it at the Pajika. That place is called Pajika.
Ah, that's it. Yeah.
Shri Mataji is saying this as Hima, Hanuman, and Madhvacharya. It says at the bottom too.
Yeah, that's the picture. Wonderful, nice to see it. You lower it a little down a little bit, bring it, there you go. You can see Hanuman, you can see Bhima, you can see Madhvacharya. He's got his fingers, is it in a 2 or 3 pose? He's got is that a 2 or 3 pose finger?
2 pose.
Okay, he was teaching Dvaita, right? That the living entity is different from the Supreme Personality, Godhead. Dvaitavad.
And I'll show you. That place is called Pajika Hill. And this is the hill that he jumped that you were talking in your class earlier.
Oh.
And then the hole that he created. Let me see. Where did it go? Oh, this is the temple I've been to. The ashram. This is that ashram in Pajika.
Acha.
And 1 second. And his lotus feet when he jumped to meet his mother. I just saw the photo. I should be able to. So this is the lake that was created by his jump. This one. This one. And that's his deity at that place. I don't remember the story of this bathing ghat, but I remember going there. I don't remember right now. But they gave me this book, the Holy Pajika.
Nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for filling in all of the details. We didn't know all of these things. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. I remember my short visit at the Mangalore Temple with the beautiful deities of Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra Maharani. And my stay there was very, very welcoming and very friendly. And they asked me to give class. I gave a Srimad Bhagavatam class there and spent some time there meeting the devotees. Yeah, that was in the year 2008 in January. After that, we went to Urabi to see with the devotees from the Chaupadi Temple. We went there on pilgrimage, a yatra, to spend some time. We came also during the what is it called, Pariyaya? The Pariyaya is the time where in January every other year they change the head of the moth, like that. That happens every January, every other year. So we came one time. It's always a big festival. Many of the Madhvas from all over come for this particular festival. Yeah. Okay, anyone else would like to contribute?
Devi Mataji, do you want to share?
Yeah, I'm getting very enthused now to share more. Guru Maharaj, if I may. There's a beautiful song in Kannada. I'm sure Prem Kishori must have heard it. It's one of the most famous songs in Carnatic music. It goes like this: Krishna ni begane baro. Krishna, please come quickly. And there's such a beautiful description of little baby Krishna. How beautiful you are, how your anklets are so beautiful, your bodily hue is so beautiful. You showed the whole universe to your mother by opening your mouth. Like this, each stanza describes all the beautiful pastimes as well as the bodily beauty of Krishna, and is considered one of the most important songs for any person learning Carnatic music to hear, to listen, and to learn to sing. I'm sure it's called Krishna ni begane baro. Krishna, please come quickly. Come and show yourself to me. I'm longing to see you. Please come, come. Like that, the saint is calling to Krishna.
Krishna Nivedana Badu.
Yeah. Krishna ni begane baro.
Baru.
Baro means come.
That's nice.
Krishna
That's it.
ni begane baro. Krishna ni begane baro. Begane baro nina mukhavanne toro. Begane baro nina mukhavanne toro. Krishna ni begane baro. Anyway, the whole song is very long, but I got enthused to sing just the first two lines.
Thank you.
My mother would sing this all the time.
Thank you, Brenda, for posting that up there. Thank you. Okay, so today, a very special day, the disappearance of the great, powerful Madhvacharya. Not to present myself but I was always wondering where my name came from. Srila Prabhupada gave me the name Candramauli. And right next to the Urabi temple, there is a temple of Shiva, which has a linga there. And it's called Candramauli, was it? Mandir. It's right in the same kind, it's right next to Urabi Krishna's temple there. So I was always curious to find out a little bit more about my name. So that was another reason why I would spend a little extra time in that compound. The three temples, there is the Urabi Krishna temples, the Ananta Vijaya, Ananta Padma temple. And that's where he was giving his discourse when he disappeared, just speaking from the Aitreya Upanishads. He simply became unmanifest. Nobody knew what happened. He was just talking, and next minute he was gone. and then the other temple. So it's a big compound, and people are, as Prem Kishore was saying, it doesn't close. It just continues to stay open throughout the night, and people come. Very merciful. Okay, so we can move on.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for sharing the nectar on the glories of Madhvacharya. It was so wonderful to hear.
We thank Sri Devi and Prem Kishore for making it even sweeter. Thank you.
Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Even I want to share a little bit about Udupi Krishna in 2008, I think, when my son was 2 years old. Then we went to Udupi Krishna Temple. Same picture I have with me. Even I got the same picture. And my sister's in-laws are from Udupi. And so I got a chance to go there and take darshan of Udupi Krishna. And yes, Guru Maharaj, it's a big compound and very nice deity. So I remember just like how Prem Kishore Mataji was saying that we have to peep in the holes to see the Lord. Take darshan. Yeah.
Yeah, they used to let me stand there, and I would just kept looking. I didn't want to leave, but after sometimes they said, "All right, that's enough." So I had to move on. It's very sweet darshan. You can even watch the pujaris as they tend to the service of the deity. This happens in the morning hours.
Yeah, in our hometown, we have a lot of families who follow this Madhvacharya Sampradaya. And we have a famous Saint Raghavendra Swami in Karnool, near Mantralayam is the place where I think he's the descendant of Madhvacharya Sampradaya. He's one of the guru of Madhvacharya Sampradaya. He's Sri Raghavendra Swami. He has a big temple there in Mantralayam near our hometown, Guru Maharaj. So
Nice.
it's very famous for this Madhva Sampradaya devotees. So,
Do you speak Karnataka?
no, Guru Maharaj, I speak Telugu, but my sister and their in-laws, they speak Kannada.
Canada, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe someday I'll get back there. Hopefully. All right, thank you very much. And tomorrow we'll move to another acharya, that is Ramanujacharya. It's his disappearance tomorrow. So one after another, we were taking the great personalities, and on Sunday is the appearance day of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Varahadev. And on Monday, we end the whole long list of great personalities, who is Sri Nityananda Trayodasi. So that will be a special class on that day. And we'll be joined by another group. I'll send you the name of the devotee who wants to join us with his group. So please send him the link so they can connect to our program on Monday.
Sure, Guru Maharaj, definitely.
Yeah.
And Guru Maharaj, I would just want to remind you, tomorrow is Thursday, and we have a ISKCON Harrisburg devotees class, Guru Maharaj, in the morning.
Oh, well, they're gonna, whether they like it or not, they're gonna get Ramanujacharya.
Okay, I'll just inform Anasuya Mataji about that.
I don't want to sound like I'm too authoritarian, but I think Shamagori would also be fine with that.
No, tomorrow is Anasuya Mataji's group, Guru Maharaj.
Oh, Anasuya? Oh, of course, yes. There won't be any problem with that. Anasuya will be overwhelmed to make that adjustment. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day if it's just beginning, and have a nice rest if it's just ending. And if you're somewhere in between, enjoy the day. Remembering Madhvacharya.
Thank you.
Did anybody have any reference to that book that's been printed in ISKCON called The Life of Srila
Guru
Madhvacharya?
Maharaj, I tried to find, I got a ebook from ISKCON Desiratory, and also one Amazon link, The Life of Madhvacharya. It's a hardcover book. It's written by Purna Prajna Das.
Yeah, that's our book.
That is, I have shared the Amazon link on the chat.
Okay, good. That's a nice compilation. Not long, but very complete. Okay, my obeisances to all the devotees, Vanchakalpa, to Vishcha, Kripasindhu, Vachatanam, Shri Guru Namaho, Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai,
Jai.
Sri Madhvacharya Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Runda.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. Thank you, devotees, for joining.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jesus.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.